I remember him saying, yeah, I'm in Sao Paulo and we have crime here, but nothing like America. I mean, we don't have school shootings and serial killers.
I'm the lovely Ray, and I'm delighted to spend a little time with you today. I was born and raised in the U.S., but over the past few years, I've been fortunate enough to spend some time chatting online with people from all over the world, thanks to a little website called Cambly. I don't have any strong opinions about the Cambly English learning platform, but my conversations with folks from other countries has left me with a lot to think about. So, in this podcast, I thought I'd share a little with you and maybe we can keep the conversation going. Warning, this podcast is about stripping down and having real conversations. So, if you're looking for someone to dress things up, well, as the old saying goes, you can put lipstick on a pig, but it's still a pig. I save my lipstick for the stage, dearest, and dressing up for the bedroom. I do not dress up my conversations with friends. So, I'd love to have a chat.
Hello. Thanks for stopping by, my love. I'm delighted to be able to chat with you today. I had a little conversation recently with a fabulous gentleman from Brazil. And we talked about a lot. But there's one thing that he said that stood out. And I thought I'd share it with you. I remember him saying, yeah, I'm in Sao Paulo and we have crime here, but nothing like America. I mean, we don't have school shootings and serial killers. And I paused. And I thought, oh my. I cannot recall a time in my life when I've heard all of the news reports be abuzz about serial killers or school shooters in other countries. Now, to be fair, on occasion, I will find on BBC News the reports of someone wielding a knife in some other country and stabbing a few people. And to be fair, at times, one will hear of mob organizations in Mexico. But serial killers, that is quite different from a mob boss. I mean, a mob boss, someone who has an organization that does illegal activities and uses force in order to continue the purpose of the business. In a way, this makes sense, right? I mean, one has a business and business must ensue. But a serial killer, the idea of someone going around killing just for fun, that's different, baby. And it's also weird. Now, we both know that America's issue with school shooters is in part due to America's legislation around owning guns. This is no surprise. And in states where gifting a gun to a young person is seen as a rite of passage, entry to adulthood, well, there's no real surprise that an angry adult, or a young adult rather, after all, at 12 or 15 being given a gun, you're still not an adult. But I digress. Being given this gun and knowing how to shoot the gun, it just makes perfect sense that someone who feels alone or angry or scared, someone who is not in control of their emotions would take out acts of violence on others. And in a country where we are constantly stating that such acts are deplorable, how dare we allow these children to murder children? Why are these parents, these negligent parents, not being held accountable? I mean, before we blamed the video games, then we blamed society not providing enough mental health care for the youth. And now we blame the parents. These parents who are so selfish that they missed all the signs. The school administrators missed all the signs. And regardless of whether or not the school has some blame, the parents have some blame, maybe they both have the majority of the blame, one must also blame the shooters. And yet, we've done very little as a country to put an end to these criminal acts. Why is it? I mean, if we despise these acts of violence so much, what are we doing? What are we doing to put an end to these things happening? But putting an end to it just isn't at the top of anyone's list. You know, there's this idea out there that thanks to AI, all of the world's problems could be solved. And I say to myself, well, AI can't solve this one. I mean, think about it. No matter how many prompts you put into your ChatGPT, it's still not going to stop these acts of violence. And I wonder, why is it that the U.S. cranks out so many serial killers? I mean, school shooters, yeah, I get it. There's a lot of things that go into play that make those situations possible. And none of it is good. But serial killers? People who just decide one day, you know what? I wonder what it would be like to kill someone else. I'm not so sure what is it that creates this kind of beast. What is it in American culture that creates this kind of abhorrent, disgusting part of our society? And I think back to the 70s and how there were so many serial killers, even the 80s too. And I think back on characters like Ted Bundy, just curious about eating human flesh. And yes, there are other countries where these types of acts have been done. But I feel like the U.S. is just the world leader in some of the areas where being the leader just isn't ideal. And I have to say, when chatting with that young man from Brazil, I did not have a reasonable explanation, and my sense of apology, which I tend to do when acknowledging that the U.S. government has done something that is unconscionable. That desire to apologize was stuck in my throat. Not because I wasn't sorry for the many lives lost due to acts of violence that seem to be popular acts of violence in the U.S., but I could not understand it. I couldn't rationalize it. I couldn't fathom it. I just found myself wrestling with this idea of, what the fuck are we doing? Is there something in the food? Is there something in the water? Is there something that is being sent to us subliminally over the airwaves? Well, I mean, if it was something in the food, you'd think we'd all be serial killers or school shooters. And if it was something in the water, well, that's something being put in the water for decades. And again, why does it not affect everyone? Something subliminal? Well, this may be a little bit more likely, and yet the number of people who choose these acts of extreme violence is fairly small when one thinks about it. And you'd have to have all of these people in tune or in touch with the same source. And so maybe it's not subliminal. I don't know, baby. You got any ideas? Do you know why the U.S. seems to be the leader when it comes to serial killers? Well, you can think about that one and get back to me. But what I would love to do right now is take a moment to think back to a time when you really got to know your neighbor, when it was okay to reach out and touch someone. Now, I am not talking about pre-COVID necessarily. No. The desire to be in your own little bubble. The desire to have your own big screen TV as big as the wall, so that you don't have to go to the movie theaters and share space with other people. The desire to have your own swimming pool so that you can enjoy space with the people of your choosing and you would not have to mingle with others. These kinds of desires predate social media. They predate pandemics. They go back a long, long ways. Now, when it comes to swimming pools, yes, we can look at when desegregation came into play, and we can definitely point to the fact that many people in the United States who were of a certain color said, oh, no. We will not share the same water as those people. We will not be risking being touched by those people. I will not let my children mingle or play with those people. I will join a club, an exclusive club that lets me use their exclusive pool and exclusive tennis courts. I will build my own pool. And only the people I choose can come and play. This is how I stay safe. This is how I protect the fact that I only want to be around people that I deem are worthy. Yes. And when we look at education, isn't it strange? Isn't it strange how the desire to have small educational groups that minimize the risk of our children getting sick quickly became the desire to have small educational groups that allowed parents to ensure their children were learning with the kind of people they wanted their children to learn with, and to learn only the things that mommy and daddy approve of. Yes, because, heaven forbid, your child is exposed to other ideas, other cultures, other ways of thinking. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's absolutely nothing racist about wanting to have your child in a enclosed group. Maybe parents are just protecting their child's education. Interesting, though, because I've known a number of parents to say, thank you so much. My child has learned so much, and now the learning will stop. What a shame. What a shame. Children excited about reading spooky tales from Edgar Allan Poe, about reading of the madness of Hamlet. Oh, no. Why would I want my child to read all that old stuff? I need my child to focus on coding. Let's have them do Scratch. They can have dancing cats. Yes, dancing cats are fun, and yet, what is there to learn from it? Is your child really learning coding when they're simply pulling blocks of preset text together? If they can't attest to any coding terminology whatsoever, if they can't tell you how the program works, but they can tell you they made a replication of Angry Birds. Yes. Is that really learning? Because knowing that a man killed another man just because he didn't like his eye, then bury that man under the floorboards, only to then confess to the crime, that may seem like useless gore, but there are lessons to be learned from such acts. Lessons like, what is an acceptable reason to be angry, to act in an angry manner against someone else? When is it acceptable to take someone else's life? And how does guilt play into all of this? Yes, literature can be frightening, but good literature leaves us with a wealth of lessons. And so, my friends, I do wonder, these mass murderers, these school shooters, I want to know. I want to know, what were their bedtime stories? I want to know, what were they doing in their spare time? How did they grow up? What shaped them? I suppose there's a book somewhere out there that I could pick up and look over, to look for a correlation, to look for patterns, to look for some explanation that I can offer to someone, anyone. The next time I'm having a late night conversation with a gentleman from Brazil, perhaps, I can say, well, you see, the U.S. holds so many deviants in this area because of these few commonalities. Do you know a book like that, baby? Do you know a book about people who've done wrongs that I can check out? I think I'm going to have to take a visit to my local library and take a look, take a gander. Isn't it lovely to know that so much of what we want to learn has been studied by someone else and it is in print? And you might be saying, Ray, yeah, but who's got time for all that? And I have to say, my darling, if you were only getting your information from TikTok and YouTube and Instagram and Facebook and Reddit and subreddits, you're missing out on so much. Because a lot of the time you're taking secondhand information from someone else who may or may not have done the research. May or may not have the facts. May or may not be inserting their own bias or making things up. It's tough, isn't it? Alas, there used to be a time in your life where you were probably eager to get to work. I want to be a grown-up. I want to go to work. I want to do my own thing. I want to have my own stuff. I want to drive my own car. I want to have my own house. I want to be my own boss. Don't tell me what to do. And now perhaps you have reached a point in your life where you go, I don't want to work. I don't want anybody to tell me what to do. I'm so tired. I'm so overworked. I'm so... Well, you're not alone. That's for sure. I get tired too. I get exhausted. I think, I don't know. It's so hard. I don't know if I can do this anymore. And yet, you are not going to trick me into thinking that the shortcuts provided by my social media feed are an acceptable substitute for me actually doing the work. And so, my loves, I encourage you to seek out a book, even an audiobook, to seek out a source and add a little extra knowledge in a subject that you care about and allow yourself to be filled up with this knowledge. Allow yourself to formulate your own opinion as to whether you love it or hate it. This is okay. It's okay to engage in something that may take a little time, a little bit longer than you expected, may cause you to feel something that isn't just pleasure, but a little bit more, or perhaps less. All right, my lovies. Well, it's been delightful as always. Thanks for the chat.